Hi everyone, so for today's video, something slightly different, but I'm going to be talking you through all the new changes that is going to be coming to the Skyblock Season 20 release that is due to launch in less than 2 hours. It's up at 6 o'clock UK time today, and there is so many new features and new changes coming. This changelog is huge. It's a lot to read and it's a lot to get your head around, so I'm going to try and explain it as best as I can. I've not had any further sneak peeks. This information is purely what either Penguin has written in the changelog, or if you search for Penguin or Leanne, they've also been chatting in general chat. So this is everything that I've picked up and my understanding of most of these things. Before we jump into the video, please give it a thumbs up right now, which is that big thumbs up button down below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and let me know in the comment section if this video helped. Another disclaimer is that I have about 15 to 20 videos already planned of tutorials and guides for all these new features once they are out and I can get into Skyblock, learn them myself, and then push content out. So you're going to want to subscribe so that you can see all of that new content coming very soon. So let's jump into it. Okay, so the first thing that's talked about in this changelog is mastery tools. Now, we had mastery tools last season and they were pretty good. It sounds that like the first thing to note is the way that you craft the mastery tools may have changed. So you're going to want to do the command/mcraft and check what the recipe is, because on the Slayer blade, it states mob drops and enchanted mob drops. In the past, this has been mob heads, and we've had to grind for like 64 pig heads to then craft the Slayer blade. It sounds like it might have changed, so don't go selling all your drops and then you're going to need them to craft your mastery tool. I'm going to assume the requirements remain the same in order to unlock your mastery tool. So for example, again, you're going to want tier 1 mastery across all tier 1 mobs to then be able to craft the Slayer blade. It's worth checking this out in /mcraft to understand for sure when the game launches. Okay, so how these tools are going to work. So once you've crafted these tools, they've introduced a new thing called Proficiency. And I feel like Proficiency is basically replacement of the name Mastery Tool. It's essentially going to be called Proficiency Tool in the near future. So what this basically means is once you have the tool and you start using it, i.e. you're going to be fishing with your super rod or you're going to be whacking mobs with your Slayer blade, the more grind that you do with that application is the more points that you get. So the more mobs you hit, the more proficiency points that you get. There's going to be additional methods to get proficiency points, which is listed out here. So things like classes, crystals, elements, dungeons, pets, and abilities. These are all brand new to the server. Couldn't tell you what they are, but obviously there are additional ways to get proficiency points faster and quicker. So what I think these proficiency points provide is kind of listed here in a summary, but essentially it's a boost on bonus drops. So if you're hitting mobs, you're going to get more mob drops. If you're fishing, I think this is going to act like multi-fishing and you're going to get more fish drops. It's kind of like get rid of multi-fishing enchant. Your fishing rod has got a permanent multi-fish attached to it. So you can see the stats here of the bonus perks that it provides you, but best way to get your head around it is think about looting levels, farming fortune. For those things, basically your proficiency points are those. The more points that you get, the higher the level that you go, the more jobs and the more rewards that you get for it. Okay, so the new feature, classes. So as we can see here, there is a different class per mastery or proficiency tool that we are using. Now, Penguin has actually said in general chat that there is a 24-hour cooldown on this. So you can take a Slayer class as soon as the server opens, and you can swap to a Fisherman class, but then you have a 24-hour cooldown before you can swap back to mob classes. However, I don't think that cooldown is going to be a problem, because my understanding to this is there's so much for you to grind in order to get up those class levels that you're not going to want to swap really quickly. It states in here there is a max of 50 levels. So I'm assuming, you have to grind, let's say 10,000 mobs to get level 1, 50,000 mobs for level 2. Kind of something like that is kind of how I'm picturing this working. But essentially, each level is a proficiency bonus. So my assumption is the highest proficiency level that you can get to is 50, to kind of give you an idea in terms of the buff drops that you might get back. Okay, the next new feature, which isn't really a new feature, but it is skill tree. I have a video explaining how skill tree works, so definitely go and check that out. The only thing that sounds like it's changed is the actual rewards within that UI, and those rewards have slightly changed to give you more of a buff. I think the really important one is fishing, because for fishing, you can get 2 additional lore levels. It sounds like with your mastery tool, you can only enchant it to lore level 3. That's the highest you can go. To then get it to lore 5, you're going to use the skill tree to increase that further. And the additional 5 lore levels will then come from your classes, because you can see here it says bonus level of 5 lores. So that's how you will get to lore 10. Okay, the next new feature is relics. Now, there is a whole list in here. We can see there is a lot to cover for relics, so I'm not going to jump into these too much. There will be a separate video on them. But in order to kind of summarize what relics means is, first of all, think about skins, right? I did a video recently about skins, and in the skin crate, you can pull legendary mythical skins, which all have skin abilities. Now, thinking of those skin abilities, things like Pet Egg Finder or Key Finder, those are no longer really going to work when you apply the skin. Instead, imagine taking that off your skin and putting it in a box. And then that box is random inside dungeons. When you're then grinding dungeons, you will find a relic box or a loot chest. When you open it up, it will have that ability inside, and it will be any random ability from the skins. So skin abilities is no longer a thing, but those abilities still exist in the game. They're just randomized into relic boxes that you can obtain in dungeons. And it's worth noting that it is just for the season. So if you find that relic box with that ability, it's only valid for the season. You're not going to keep it for season 21, 22, 23, and 24. The other important thing to flag is that relics can be tiered up. So like how we used to be able to do tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 with the souls ability, it does sound like you can kind of use that tier system to maximize that ability boost to last longer or give you more from it. Okay, so scrolling down, we're now talking about player attributes. Now this is another brand new feature, and there is a whole lot of things in here, and it kind of looks scary. But think about traits from last season. This is essentially traits, but on an individual basis rather than an island basis. So we have the command here, which again, I would definitely consider looking at that as soon as we get into the game. It sounds like there is 11 different traits. Again, that kind of all listed here. They all have the different tiers to them, and you'll get 3 slots how the island traits work, and you kind of need to re-roll and get them. I have no idea how you get these because it isn't listed here, but I am assuming you might get them from crates, possibly dungeon loot rewards, maybe from coin shop or XP shop. It's worth kind of doing all these commands when you get into game to see where everything is. Okay, the next new feature is stars. Now for stars, this isn't anything to progress your gameplay and get boosts or anything extra. This is more of a cosmetic feature to the game. If you play prisons in Skyblock, or you log into prisons, essentially you can see when players walk around, they have like a little name tag above their head, and it tells you how many blocks they've totally mined. It kind of looks like something like this. So the more that you grind, you're then going to get a point above your player head. It's kind of like a flex, because in here, I think this will stay for future seasons. So next season, if I've got like 50 fish points above my head, I will have them day 1 of the season. It's kind of just like a flex to show how much you've grinded throughout the season, but you're not going to get any rewards for this as far as I know. Skins, the most talked about thing with this new season change, I think I've seen in general chat. They've had a complete rework. So first of all, you have normal skins, things like Valentine skins or Christmas skins or fall skins. Those skins have 0 ability on them. They don't have any perks to them. They're just a nice cosmetic. You will still have them when you log in today. All the skins from crates, so from the skin crate where you could get skin abilities like the soul one or the cosmic fishing skin, right the way through to the exclusive skins, which is from the monthly crate, which last season the exclusive skin was those penguin skins. You had a penguin fishing rod, a penguin pickaxe. This is kind of where things start to change a little bit. Now, we know that the skins used to have abilities, and those abilities is what made people want the skins. Those abilities, we now know, are back and moved into the Relics box, which is found in dungeons. But what you get in return is that if you have an exclusive skin, you're getting an extra bonus, a mythical skin gives you a bonus, and a legendary skin gives you a bonus. So it depends on the rarity of the skin, and that will give you an extra boost or an extra bonus. My understanding reading this is it's timed at 60 seconds, but obviously if you've leveled them up, it will last longer. So if you've got a tier 2 skin, that will last longer than 60 seconds. And it also kind of sounds like they add them all together. So the more that you've got, the longer it lasts, or the kind of higher proficiency that you're going to get out of it is my understanding from this. It's a really interesting feature, I think. My only worry is I kind of feel, because I feel like this is going to make mobbing really OP, because majority of the skins are all sword skins. Last season was the first time we had an exclusive farming skin. And again, there isn't any host skins, I would say, that are legendary or mythical. So it kind of debuffs farming, but it really buffs mobbing. So hopefully we do start to see a lot more skins for other categories to kind of weigh this out, unless somehow the math has already weighed that out and the staff have worked that out. Okay, so PvP. Now I've made a whole video on PvP. Please go watch it. It explains all the PvP changes which apply here over in survival. Biggest thing to take away from it is keep inventory is switched on, which means that if you die, you keep all your items that are on you. Another brand new feature is warp PvP deboss. There is going to be a deboss in a PvP. Now, how I think this is going to work is carnage, crazy, madness, and drama. But think of deboss, but PvP boss. It spawns every 2 hours. I don't know if you're going to use a sword or a bow to do damage, maybe even an axe, who knows. But a boss will spawn in, players will have to do damage. The top 3 players with damage get a PvP key. But within that kind of killing sprint that you're doing with that PvP boss, you run the risk of dying from the boss or from players, because PvP is enabled, which means that you could die because a player might be trying to sabotage you from getting top 3 because you're always on top 3 leaderboards. So they're going to kill you. They're going to target you so you can't get on top 3. Obviously, if you die, you keep your items. That is how I imagine this is going to work, which is kind of why I say it's going to be a little bit carnage, a little bit drama, and a little bit of madness. The other thing to flag amongst the PvP things is Outpost. Outpost is obviously going to have keep inventory switched on, I believe. Again, don't quote me on that. Which means that it's probably going to be carnage for Outpost, because if you capture Outpost, the longer you have it, then you get key drops, and everyone's going to want it. So it's going to be crazy. Moving on to legacy pets. Now, honestly, with legacy pets, I don't really have an opinion of this. I think it's a little bit of a pointless changelog without being too harsh. Last season, nobody got legacy pets. There was a glitch early season where people were pulling them all the time. That got fixed and reverted, so no one had them. So then, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a player that has a legacy pet, so I just feel like this sounds like it's got really good buffs to it, but trying to pull a legacy pet in the first place is non-existent. You basically have to open pet eggs during the element when it's active. I tried it last season multiple times. I even had a video on it, and we had no luck with it. but who knows, maybe they changed the odds on that. Enchanting chest has had a buff to it. So for people that don't know, there is a mastery. Don't quote me which mastery it is. I think it's a minor one. But at a certain level, so let's say mastery level 7 of redstone, means that you can craft an enchanting chest. You can see the materials that you need in order to craft it, but essentially once you have it, it's a much faster way of getting enchanted items. So you typically use enchanted items to upgrade your mastery tool. And so what that then means is you could use this rather than doing Mcraft and constantly having to do it and take ages to do. The same with things like XP farms. They take loads and loads of enchanted lapis, and enchanting chest might be a new way to get that much faster. Now looking at lore, because again we've still got a lot to get through with this changelog. Some lore changes have been applied, so I think it's worth calling out with lore changes that you can't get higher than level 3. Your base is level 3. We've been through this on the video. You can get an additional 2 levels from skill tree, and you can get an additional 5 levels from classes. So I feel like this is basically designed to take much longer to get to lore 10. It's also worth noting that the times of the lures have changed, meaning that you're going to catch fish much slower than the last season beforehand. Dungeons is a brand new feature that a lot of players are really excited for, and there's a lot to this. Again, we are all going to learn, and I will have videos separate to this, but it sounds like you can have a party, so you don't have to do this with your island members. You can do this with other island members. You can also run it solo, and I did see Penguin say that it's friendly for solo players, so I can't imagine it being too difficult to do. There are 6 different levels. I'm going to assume you can't just go from rooms 1 to 6. You're kind of going to have to do something to unlock each one as you go. It mentions all the different things that you can do in those rooms / challenges. There is also a boss which, once defeated, I'm assuming it gives you some sort of rewards. It does mention that there's a time limit. Again, this might be like a server-wide time limit. I don't know. There could be like certain like requirements that the whole server has to do to unlock the new room. Again, I'm talking hypothetically here. There is a time limit, but it will not impact your drops. Then basically, from what I can gather, you're using those drops that you will get in the dungeon shop. It might be something like Elements Trade Shop. Again, just an assumption, not 100% sure there. Pouches is another brand new feature, and actually we have very little information on pouches. It sounds really exciting because if you're me, I love skins, and when I see a cat sword skin and a cat pickaxe skin, I need to know what that looks like ASAP. But there is no information on this. I don't know how you get pouches, if it's from grinding, if it's from dungeons rewards, if it's from the shop trades. Who knows how you get pouches. This is something to keep your eye out for because it does sound very exciting. Elements, I have a video on elements explaining all of the details on how elements work, so definitely go and check that out. It looks like there's some enhancements made to elements. It sounds like there is now a limit on some of the trades that you have. So my assumption to that is poison shot, because it was very OP early season for D-Boss. Now I'm assuming that is locked for so many weeks of the season before it can then be traded. It's also now worth noting some other enchants have been added or removed. Multi-fishing is the biggest one that I saw people talking about, but again, I've already talked about this now, but it kind of sounds like with the whole proficiency thing that your fishing rod in itself automatically has multi-fish attached to it. And you kind of have that boost of double fish drops, or up to 5 fish drops, I think I read at one point, which is pretty OP and crazy. There is a whole other list of changes. So lucky block timer, that sounds really cool. Baits to fish hoppers, another really exciting one. There is XP to island bank. Be cautious with this one is what I would say. Make sure you can withdraw it. You're not going to have to use it on an upgrade. I don't know what upgrade you would use it on, because I'm pretty sure island upgrades were always sky coins, but maybe they've changed it and you can upgrade your island with XP. Who knows? There's also a change to colossal armor. I don't know what this is, but again, do /deboss and have a look at what that is, because colossal armor has always been for farming, but I don't know what this change means. Element skills are now tradable, another really important one because they were not tradable last season, and it was very, very frustrating, especially for people like me who hated doing elements, so I could never max out my fishing rod. And I think the other big one to talk about is rotating shop for mobbing. That is only on the max spawner unlock. So for example, husks are locked towards the end of season, as are vax. Those drops aren't going to be in rotating shop until they're unlocked for the whole server. So that's really important to note down. Now, this is a really big changelog, and that is a lot of information to take in. A final summary for me is dungeons, brand new feature. It looks like it's an important thing throughout your whole gameplay, so I feel like every person is going to have to participate in dungeons, so definitely check that out. It sounds like if you're planning to compete for payouts and island top, I don't think any island changes have applied to that. It kind of, I'm assuming block costs, block values have all stayed the same because nothing has been mentioned in the changelogs for that. In terms of what to do when you get in, what to grind, I feel like mobbing is really OP because of the amount of changes that is with the skins, and because there are so many sword skins with abilities, I feel like that's going to be really OP for a lot of older players. However, if you're looking at fishing and you're thinking like I'm thinking, I feel like fishing has been downgraded because lore is kind of limited and all of these other things with multi-fishing. But I think if you can then manage to do all of the classes and the skill tree, and you get to lore 10 and you have those extra proficiency boosts with the double fish drops, I actually think kind of mid-game, fishing could become really OP. I feel for farming because I don't think farming has had any appreciation this season. There is little to no skins for farming, so you're not going to have that ability early season for those boosts. For mining, it could be a really another interesting one, a little bit like mobbing. There's a lot of mining skins, so they might have quite a lot of boosts early season, so mining might be something to consider looking at. Cactus, there was a cactus enchant. I can't see this being any impact. I don't think cactus farms do well in Skyblock. It's worth checking out, but I really don't think they have much legs on them. Woodcutting, I don't really have a comment or opinion on. There has been a lot of changes to it. It might be something worth checking out, but we've never seen any big woodcutters in the Skyblock season, so honestly, have a look at that. PvP, really big changes to PvP. I think it's going to be very toxic on the PvP side of things, but that's just my assumption. I'm not a PvP player, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of shouting and drama and unhappy players or happy players, so who knows when it comes to that. But a lot of changes, a lot of things to do, because not only have you got elements, deboss, dungeons, PvP bosses, PvP, you've also then got to compete for island value, you've also then got to grind all your mastery tools, and then you've also got to make money in between all of that to buy the new cosmetics from the monthly crates. So there's going to be a lot to do. It's going to be a very busy season, and it's going to keep me very busy with content. I know that this video has been long, but I hope I've summarized all these changes as best as I can. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a big thumbs up, and I will see you in another video very soon, but goodbye for now.